Mike, how quickly did your day change on Sunday?
Trey, Mike, great to talk with you. It is uncanny as a Patriots reporter. I would say whenever you're ready to go on vacation, prepare for the biggest news to drop. And this goes way back, to times with Aaron Hernandez and other things. This was supposed to be day 2 of vacation, but we're going to call the audible and reroute some plans.
So, Cam Newton's name had come up with a number of teams when free agency was going on, and New England was one of them once Tom Brady was going to be gone. But nothing obviously ever happened with that anybody until yesterday. Why so long before New England pulled the move here?
Well, Mike, I think there's two parts to it. I don't believe the Patriots' position ever changed. You go back to May, and Bill Belichick is on record as saying you never know what might happen down the road, but we feel like we have good players to work with at quarterback. They also had a very tight economic picture. They're the tightest team to the salary cap. They couldn't offer much, in that situation. So then you go to the other side of it and say, well, maybe something changed with Cam Newton, and his asking price perhaps is different now than it was a few months ago, and he's more willing to accept this type of opportunity, this type of contract.
Mike Reiss with us, our Patriots reporter. And, Mike, this is the ultimate Patriot Bill Belichick move, right? There is very little risk and potentially very high reward in offering a former NFL MVP a one-year incentive-laden contract. Clearly, we all believe that he is going to be the presumptive starter week 1 should the regular season begin on time for the Patriots. But it doesn't mean that they're giving up on Jarrett Stidham, right?
Well, I think that's well said, Trey, because, this is his second year, and we've talked about this for the last couple months. They like him a lot. He was leading these player workouts along with Brian Hoyer over the last couple months, and they think he has a bright future, but they also acknowledge, until he goes out and does it, there's a blind spot there. So this buys them a little more time to assess exactly what they have. And, heck, they haven't ruled out the idea that he rises up in this competition and is still their guy.
No matter who starts this year, it will be the 4th starting week 1 quarterback under Bill Belichick. He's had Bledsoe, Brady, and Garoppolo, and now it's going to be Cam Newton. This is something we haven't had to deal with, was any kind of a quarterback issue at New England for so long. Do you envision, and we know what we'll hear from Bill, best player plays, do you envision an open competition, or do you envision number 1 just getting handed the job?
Open competition, Mike, and I think I truly believe that. And I would say, if you were, give me some odds, I think it's fair to say I'd probably put Cam now at the top of the list just based on what he's already proven to be in the league. But here is the blind spot with him, in my view. He has no background in this offensive system with Josh McDaniels, the coordinator, or this culture, in New England. And I've seen situations where players have come in over the last 2 decades, and it's worked out great. Randy Moss, Darrelle Revis come to mind as players you might look at and say, how's it going to fit, up here in New England the way they do things? Because it seems a lot different from the places they've been. But there have been other situations where those have not worked out. And in this case, there's as Trey mentioned, limited risk and downside for the Patriots to at least see what that looks like.
So, Mike, the first thing I thought of as I began to process the idea of Cam Newton with the Patriots, the first game I went back and looked at was immediately that Thursday night game, week 3 of the regular season, 2016, when Tom Brady was suspended. Jimmy Garoppolo started the first 2 weeks, and in that second week, a home game against Miami, got injured. Short week, Jacoby Brissett had to start, and you watch that game against the Texans, which the Patriots won 27-0. It was a completely different offense. Bill Belichick is better than anybody, and his coaching staff is better than anybody about morphing that game plan week to week based on the players they have available and the team they're playing. And in looking at that box score, you had 19 pass attempts for Jacoby Brissett, but more importantly, 8 designed runs for 48 yards, including a touchdown. Is that a primer, for lack of a better term, on how the Patriots might try and use Cam Newton going forward?
It is a great example to bring up, in my opinion, Trey, because they were really proud as a staff of that game. I think he had a 27-yard touchdown run, of those rushing yards you mentioned. And the thought was, hey, look, we're not going to call that play if Tom Brady is under center. So what that game showed you is how flexible the Patriots are with their offense and really how much sort of breadth they have in their system to evolve based on the strengths and talents of their players. And you're going to have different strengths with quarterbacks. And so now what I envision they'll do is bring Cam in and say, okay, we never really work with him on a day-to-day basis. Let's see what he does well, what maybe we need to protect him for, and we have the ability to adjust and accentuate his strengths.
Yeah, listen, you're going to see an offense that's going to be run-based, which is something they've sort of transitioned to the last couple of years anyway, with the way things have gone, especially having lost the receivers last year that they had in Josh Gordon and Antonio Brown. But I'm just curious about this part of it, Mike, as we're talking to Patriots reporter Mike Reiss with us this morning, because I've heard some people say, okay, you're going to have a good offense with Cam now going forward, and that defense is going to be good. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute now. That defense was great up until they played the Ravens. I think it was week 8 or week 9 of the regular season. And then they played a really good offense, and they got torched a little bit there. And they had more defensive struggles down the stretch of the season. And, Mike, they lost a ton of players on that defensive side in the offseason. So while I understand people saying the offense is going to be good with Cam, I don't think we can just assume that the defense, which was such a big part of their success in the regular season, especially early, is going to be as dominant as it was a year ago, because they lost a lot of parts there.
They sure did. Kyle Van Noy, Jamie Collins, among them at the linebacker spot. And they always say it, and it's really the truth. We see it on a year-to-year basis. You start from ground, the starting point, 0 every year, and they'll have to prove it again. I think one thing they feel good about, though, Trey, is their secondary is back with Stephon Gilmore, reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and that just gives them a little bit of a head start with the communication that you need on the back end of the defense to build from a higher point than you would be otherwise. In a passing league, they feel like they have a lot of guys that can cover.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.